more than 10,000 acres are underwater.
As NASA releases an out-of-this-world photo of a distant planet, we take a deep dive into the production of spacesuits.
I don't think I've ever spoken about spacesuits without being asked this question.
And Washington's famed cherry blossom trees are ready for their close-up.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. You're looking at something rare, a tornado in Los Angeles County, the strongest one to hit the area in about 40 years. The National Weather Service confirms the twister touched down yesterday morning in the city of Montebello, just east of L.A. As Nicole Comstock reports, there was one minor injury and plenty of damage.
Torrential rain pours into the ripped open roof at a seafood supply warehouse in Montebello.
Yeah.
This is the tail end of the tornado passing through after it peeled that roof back like a tin can and twisted it around between these white walls, battering them with black soot, leaving an absolute disaster zone of wreckage behind.
This particular tornado spun up very quickly.
The National Weather Service says while it is very rare for a tornado to form in this part of the LA basin, when strong Pacific storm systems bring them here, there's little to no warning. There's
actually a subset of tornadoes that form too quickly to be detected and warned for, and this happened to be one of those.
The city says 11 of 17 businesses damaged here had to be red tagged.
Oh my God! Oh my God! No!
A local high school student was blown to the ground opening the door during the tornado. After hunkering down inside and waiting for the storm to pass, those students were finally released from class.
Well, what happened in California shows us all that severe weather can really happen and hit anywhere. So would you know what to do if a tornado was in your area? Let's go to Charleston, West Virginia, where Dante Ricky has a few tornado safety tips.
Severe thunderstorms can and occasionally do produce tornadoes, which can be intense at times with winds up to 300 miles an hour in the strongest storms. If you see a tornado or receive a warning, you want to find a substantial shelter. If you're home, put as many walls between yourself and the outside as possible. The safest place to be during a tornado is in a basement. However, if your home does not have a basement, you need to find an interior room away from windows. A closet, a bathroom will do. Find that room, close the door behind you. That's very important because you want to keep the wind and air away while that is happening. So get the door closed and also find a pillow or blanket. Stay away from windows and cover your head with that blanket to shield yourself from flying debris.
Many communities in the Midwest and South use sirens to warn people when a tornado is threatening, but many people inside their homes may have a tough time hearing those sirens. Columbus meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael takes a trip in his car to explain.
Hey guys, this is meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael. So it is now 9:50 in the morning. The tornado sirens are going off for the statewide tornado drill, but I'm driving. I don't hear a thing right now, and I know they're going off. They are very faint in the distance. This is one reason why having an alternative form of an alert, not just relying on the tornado sirens. Driving past one right there. They're very faint. Make sure that you have a backup way of finding out if there is a tornado warning happening, because again, even driving around, I'm about to come up to another one here, it's not really that loud, and if you got music on, you're not even going to hear it. Anyway, this is just a plea to make sure you have some way of finding out if there is a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning, because relying on sirens isn't going to do it. They're helpful if you're outside, but if you're not, it's not that great.
You know, Andrew tweeted out this video, and there are a lot more like it. We post all of the latest content from our 200 meteorologists across the country on our social accounts. If you want to see more like this, just head over to your favorite social media platform and search the National Weather Desk, or you can scan the QR code in the bottom left corner of your screen. This winter, we've seen record snowfall in the mountains in California. You may think that's because they live at a higher altitude, higher elevations. But as meteorologist Michael Combs explains, there's another factor at play.
A question was recently asked as to why we see more snow in the mountains than we do in the valleys. There are many reasons for this, but there's one process that is very efficient, known as orographic lift. It has a fancy name, but the explanation is relatively simple. As wind with warm, moist air pushes towards the mountain, it's forced upwards and rises. As it does so, the air cools very quickly. This allows it to condense into clouds, and when the conditions are just right, the precipitation can be squeezed out by the mountains in the form of rain and snow. The reason the valleys see less precipitation is due to the next step of the process, downslope flow. Downsloping occurs when that air is forced down the leeward side of the mountain. As it does, it dries and warms due to increased pressure. This drying effect promotes evaporation, and as it does so, this limits the amount of moisture, if not completely eliminates, that which reaches the ground. In addition, you can also see strong winds down at the valley floors. Keep an eye out for lenticular clouds, as they can be indicative of conditions favorable for downslope flow.
No snow here in D.C. today. In fact, temperatures should be in the mid-70s, and that's great news for those cherry blossoms. The blossoms are expected to reach peak bloom today, but as you can see, many are already showing their pink and white colors. 1.5 million people are expected to flock to Washington, D.C. to see the blossoms that surround the tidal basin near the National Mall. Well, some parts of the country got unseasonably warm temperatures a couple weeks back, but that lovely weather was not setting up a great situation for fruit and apple growers. Those warm temperatures meant many trees bloomed. Charles Perez tells us it's now hitting growers where it hurts.
Our fruit growers have been having some sleepless nights lately.
A cold freeze for too many nights have left local apple and fruit growers on the edge as some temperatures dip down toward 19 and 20 degrees.
Those are not good temperatures for emerging fruit crops.
In late February and early March, temperatures warmed and fruit trees bloomed, setting up a possible worst-case scenario for growers. But the freeze came soon enough to take out the few varieties that had flowered, but not the many that were still buds.
We got more damage on those earlier flowering varieties than we expect to see on the ones that have yet to really flower.
Dr. Terry Kelly specializes in agricultural production and says the peach trees which were in full bloom are likely a loss, while blueberries took a good hit and some apple varieties, well, may have actually benefited from the freeze.
We went from being maybe 3 weeks ahead to now maybe being more like 10 days ahead because we kind of slowed everything down.
Early bloomers like Granny Smith and Pink Ladies were likely damaged by the frozen temperatures, while late bloomers may now have a better chance of surviving a second drop in temps.
We may not get any more weather that cold, but the odds are that we will get some. It's still only just past mid-March, and we've got, April and part of May to go yet.
The question for growers now is when we might hit another freeze and how long and how cold that one may go.
NASA's Webb telescope has made another remarkable discovery. This is an exoplanet about 40 light years from Earth. Several factors make it unique. First, it orbits 2 stars and is about 4 times farther from those stars than Pluto is from our sun. It also has churning clouds made up of silica dust that often rains down into the atmosphere. And check this out, a big discovery in Australia, a supersized tarantula-like golden trapdoor. Scientists named it Euoplas dignitas. Scientists have known about this really since 2017, but that previously only had male species, or female species, I should say. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, find out how lightning actually forms, and we'll get an inside look at NASA's new space suits.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. We have a lot of clouds and some on and off wet weather in the Northeast today, and a warm front is trying to punch through. we're going to see a wide range in temperatures, 30s, 40s, 50s, and even some low 60s are possible this afternoon. Here comes some of that wet weather with clouds and rain and drizzle from time to time. That's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. There'll be some snow way up in northern Maine. There's the back edge of the rain moving out during the early nighttime hours. The sun returns on Friday. It's cooler and a little breezy.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region as we work our way through the Thursday morning commute. Some showers developing, especially Maryland, Virginia, northbound, and that continues on into the early afternoon, especially northern stretches of the area and all the way through the Delmarva. Could be a little bit messy for the morning and the afternoon commute. Farther south you get, the drier it gets, but also the warmer it gets, near 80 there. Richmond and Roanoke, low to mid-70s in Baltimore. That's the scene here.
Good Thursday morning. I'm meteorologist Michael Larabour with a look at your southeast regional forecast. High pressure gives mainly fair weather for much of the southeast. Maybe some clouds and showers offshore of the Carolinas. A little bit of light rain for Texas up into sections of Arkansas and the middle sections of the Mississippi River Valley. Otherwise, mostly sunny conditions with a flow around that high. High temperature is much warmer, 80s throughout the area. 82 for Atlanta, well above average, 85 Tupelo. Look for upper 80s along the west coast of Florida, low 80s east coast.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
In California, rural farms communities have taken a real big hit. Several levees have failed, flooding huge swaths of land, leaving them looking more like lakes than pastures. Latest estimates are that 10,000 acres of land are now underwater. Rich Rodriguez has more.
Southwest Tulare County looks more like a lake than prime farmland. The communities of Alpa and Allensworth are flooded. Sheriff Mike Boudreau believes more than 10,000 acres are underwater.
We are really concerned with some levees that are have breached. They're difficult to control and plug and block up. When you see it and you see the magnitude of water that's being pushed through these levees where the breaches are, it's very difficult to get them controlled.
CAL FIRE is using helicopters to try and fix the leaky problem. Sandbags weighing 2,500 pounds are being dropped where there are breaks in the levees. Sheriff Boudreau says farmers and ranchers are also helping.
They are using heavy equipment to help plug some of these holes in the levees that go through their land. They're trying to protect their neighbor's land as well as their land.
There are old reservoirs in the Alpa-Allensworth area that aren't being used, but that could change quickly.
And what we can do to help divert some of this water into some reservoirs, they're looking at what that will look like, and if we're able to do so, to relieve some of the water to allow workers to get in and plug these holes.
The sheriff says the water would have to be pumped into the dormant reservoirs. Until the levees are repaired, there's no telling how long it will take for the floodwaters to recede.
Flooding often comes with severe thunderstorms, but the water is not the only danger. Lightning poses a threat. Columbus meteorologist Marshall McPeak has a lesson on how lightning forms.
Anytime there's thunder, you know there's lightning around, even if you can't see it. It's the lightning that causes the expansion in the air that creates what we hear as thunder. But it all starts when the cloud gets big enough that it develops ice particles, and they kind of crash into each other, and they eventually develop a charge. And what you end up with is a positive charge in the base of the cloud and a negative charge on the surface of the earth. So when it's time to equalize those charges, it's just like when you touch the doorknob and you get a shock. This time it's just much bigger, and it happens as a lightning bolt. Some of that can happen from cloud to cloud, in between two different clouds. Some of it can be intra-cloud, so equalizing charges inside the same cloud, and even cloud to space, where it shoots a bolt off toward the ionosphere. Or even, the one we're most interested in is cloud to ground, where it's equalizing the charge between the cloud and the surface. Now, anytime there's something on the surface, like a tree or even a house, you can end up absorbing that charge into that object, and that's what gets struck by lightning, in which case it can cause damage to the house or even trees when that lightning strikes happens. So anytime you hear thunder, you know there's lightning around. So when thunder roars, go indoors and stay safe during the storm.
NASA recently revealed the spacesuit that will be worn by the Artemis III astronauts when they walk on the moon. NASA contracted an outside company, Axiom Space, for the design, and Emily Gracie recently spoke to them about what goes into designing a moon suit.
Some of the biggest differences are really in mobility. So especially like if you were to look a side-by-side comparison of our suit and to the Apollo suit, the mobility is just going to be worlds different.
I'm guessing this one is a lot more lightweight than some of the older models, but how much does it weigh?
It's a couple 100 pounds, but it is much less than the current suits of today. So suits in general are heavy overall. Of course, when you're floating like on the International Space Station, it doesn't matter quite as much. When you're on the lunar surface, it's 1/6 gravity, right? So it's important, but it's not like trying to wear the suit here on Earth either. So
how do you make a spacesuit, or one specifically for the moon, that really accommodates all different shapes and sizes?
Fitting people into suits, specifically spacesuits, is really where kind of art and science blend. And I think this is one of the areas too where the suit's probably different from the past, where we've made large strides forward in terms of the ability to accommodate a much wider portion of the population than before.
All right, everybody wants to know about peeing in a spacesuit
Yes,
and how that works.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever spoken about spacesuits without being asked this question. I think literally every time I've done this, somebody asks, and it's a good question. Like, it's a very small volume. You're in there by yourself. How does that work? And this is where there's a very simple solution, and astronauts actually wear diapers while they're inside the suit. So
I'm guessing they're like the best diapers in the whole wide world, though. Like,
yeah, they are.
Pampers would be jealous of whatever technology you guys are working with, right? Let's talk about what happens if you're not in a spacesuit. You go to the moon and something opens or something tears. What happens?
There's like heated debates on that. I don't actually know what would happen.
We haven't tested this out.
We work tremendously hard to make sure that we never find out the answer to that question because we want to keep them safe.
So jury's still out if your eyeballs are going to pop out of your head if you open them.
Yeah.
We'll never know.
I don't know.
Now to an interesting find that adds fuel to one theory behind creation. Japan's space agency has detected organic molecules in an asteroid near Earth. It's called uracil, and it's one of the building blocks of RNA and vitamin B3, which is a cofactor for metabolism. These findings are in line with the theory that life originated in space and was delivered to Earth billions of years ago by meteorites. In northern Wisconsin, frozen lake fishing is part of life. The season is coming to an end, and many residents think this might be the worst season for ice fishing in recent memory. Eric Peterson has more from Green Bay.
About a quarter mile off the western shoreline, Dennis Van Rossum is working for panfish.
My brother thought they were going to be biting, and that's the only reason we're trying it. You know, we tried our luck up north and we didn't have too much luck, and we thought maybe we had some time. That's what we're doing.
His fishing friend Dave Vandervelden says he caught one crappie so far.
We come out here in March usually all the time, and it's always been better than this, so no, nobody around and trying to get some fish.
The anglers say there are about 8 to 12 inches of ice here. And for the most part, the two had this part of the 6,200-acre lake to themselves Tuesday morning.
This is probably one of the warmer winters I remember.
At Kuhn's Bait and Tackle Palace, owner Corey Kuhn says when it comes to the weather, it's been a season filled with ups and downs.
I actually had people come in here in the middle of February with a boat to go fishing on the river in a boat in the middle of February. Never ever seen that in my life.
Kuhn says March typically is a good time to catch panfish and not deal with extreme weather conditions.
A lot of people said they think we almost got more rain this winter than we had snow, except for the last couple weeks where we got all kinds of snow.
Back on the frozen surface, this group says they know their days on the Shawano Lake ice are numbered.
Like you say, the last hurrah for the year, so we're hoping we catch a lucky day and catch a few.
As we head to break, let's get a bird's eye view of Green Bay.
Well, a very good Thursday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. Taking a look at your weather story across the Midwest. Got a little bit of snow across the middle part of the Midwest, but we got a lot of rain from Missouri all the way up into Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. That shifts a little closer to the Ohio River heading into the day tomorrow with some flooding potential. As we take a look at the northern plains, pretty quiet and cool there. Then we ramp things up with some snow from Iowa into Wisconsin and UP on Saturday. Rain for the Ohio Valley.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. We're starting off a little cloudy and warm and humid with a little drizzle down toward the south. Cooler and drier as you're out to the west because we've got a cold front that's pushing its way south. This dry line will help fire up some more rain today, particularly out across Texas. Some storms up in the Oklahoma area as well. Temperatures will be on a big warm up out ahead of the front. We'll look for temperatures to stay cool behind the front. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Well, hi there and a good Thursday morning to everybody. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell, trying for drying and a warm-up out west. It's been a heck of a week again through California with those heavy showers, even a tornado outside of Los Angeles yesterday. So small improvements today. At least we do start to brighten up, warm up a little bit too, back into the upper 50s around San Diego. The next round of showers, next weather maker pushing into the Pacific Northwest instead. We'll have a chance for thunder, lightning, hail, even some wet low snow near Seattle and Portland. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
In 1950, the World Meteorological Organization was formed. Today, we celebrate its creation. Meteorologist Emily Gracie has more.
World Meteorological Day is recognized every year on March 23rd to commemorate the establishment of the World Meteorological Organization in 1950. The WMO is a specialized agency of the United Nations with the purpose of facilitating the exchange of weather data across national borders. While the WMO dates back just 73 years, the concept goes way back to 1873 when the first International Meteorological Congress was held in Vienna. While the structure of the organization has evolved over the past 150 years, the mission is the same: the free and unrestricted exchange of data and research related to environmental protection, climate change, resource management, and socioeconomic development. The theme of this year's World Meteorological Day is the future of weather, climate, and water across generations. For the National Weather Desk, I'm meteorologist Emily Gracie.
We'd love to connect with you. You can find us on all of your favorite social media platforms. Just search the National Weather Desk or scan the QR code on your screen. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for joining us. Tomorrow on the National Weather Desk, we'll take a look at how some birds deal with severe weather events. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great Thursday, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.